crawl space. I think that's
FYI, the mic is on and just know that it picks up all kinds of conversation. Did you sign in? Yeah, thank you very much. Nice right here. She's ready for it. There's no right now.
it's not specific. I mean, yes. And there's a date of construction and then the date of when the community thing, and construction.
It's. Probably has it in her packet and that.
Right, it is 7:30, so we're gonna go ahead and call the April monthly meeting of the Siren School Board to order. Y'all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So, I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda, except for I would like to switch around F and G in closed, because I think it makes more sense that way.
F and G you want to switch?
Just switch them, yes. G is the F, F is the G.
Did you get that?
No.
Right here, so I'm gonna switch these.
I'll make a motion to accept switching F and G and approving the agenda. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Kelly, seconded by Jamie. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, moving on. All right, board vacancy appointment. We have, looks like two that have put their letters of intent in. So I'm going to get these out to the rest of the board. There's a list of questions that each of the candidates is going to be asked. And this way, you all can take notes on it and whatnot if we want to. Then I'll get out one for each candidate. So, starting at the top, we've got Corey Bauer. Yes, if you'd like to come up here so everyone can see it, please, that'd be great. Thank you for your interest in this position, Corey. Anyone want a moment to read over this letter, please? Or should we move on to? Okay, double checking. So first question, how long have you lived in the Siren School District?
since fourth grade, or 8 years old.
And are any members of your immediate family employed by the Siren School District?
Nope.
Oh, why do you wish to be a school board member?
Well, my son is coming up of age to attend school. He's not quite there yet. And I have been in the community my whole life and want to be a part of the good in the community. So hopefully making a lasting impact. That's about all I got.
Okay. Summarize your involvement in public service activities.
I was a ref for 7 years through high school and out of high school. I assisted in some coaching right out of high school. Ran the weight room for a while, and then I employ some students of Siren currently. And then about 2 years ago, I was involved with the tech ed program, helping them build sheds and teaching construction,
What did you ref?
basketball.
And that was what you coached as well?
Yep.
Thank you.
So my father is the assistant football coach for Siren. I guess if that counts as people employed for school, can think about that.
Right. What issues do you believe are a priority for the Board of Education at this time?
Keeping the children first, keeping a balanced budget and giving the best for the students. Not doing.
Balanced
the best for the
budget.
students.
New students first. Okay. What do you see as the strengths within the Siren School District?
Teachers who care, teachers who make students a priority, parents who are involved, and a tight-knit community.
Okay, last question. What would you like to see changed within the Siren School District?
That's hard not being involved in the school currently. I don't know, my brothers all graduated a few years back, so I haven't been super involved with school, so I don't know many issues, but taking an open and honest stance and seeing what's going on before you implement change.
Thank you very much. Jesse Smith. You come up here, please. Oh. Yeah. More paper.
I'm good. Well, you want our college? College?
No, I was just gonna write on this.
Okay, I was gonna too.
Okay.
Try to get used to that. I know you are.
All right.
Oh no, I'm writing Polly.
All right, Jesse, thank you for expressing your interest in filling this position.
Okay, thanks for having me.
How long have you lived in the Siren School District?
Approximately 8 months.
Are any members of your immediate family employed by the Siren School District?
That they are not, no.
Why do you wish to be a school board member?
Well, the big thing, and I'm gonna reiterate a lot of what Corey said, the kids. Right now, if we look at the DPI report card for the school district of Siren, you guys are at or the same as 9.7% of the schools in Wisconsin. That is horrific. All the surrounding schools are doing something better, and one of my goals obviously would be to increase that and make us competitive with the other schools around.
Could you summarize your involvement in public service activities?
In the past, I was previously on the St. Croix Valley Home Builders Board of Directors. I was a past president of the St. Croix Valley Home Builders. As far as some of the things in the community in the Osceola district is where I'm from. My kids graduated. I believe I put that on the letter. But I had coached youth football for many years, worked with the high school program there. Scott Newton was now the athletic director. Did that for about 4 or 5 years. I was also a coach for my daughter in youth baseball as well as, or youth softball as well as youth baseball. When my son was growing up and going through the school system there.
What issues do you believe are a priority for the Board of Education at this time?
Again, some of the stuff, same stuff that Corey had mentioned. Transparency is a big one with any board, obviously with the community. The students, obviously it's a product of this school. So we need to be putting out the best product possible. And then obviously the staff, you know, having the tools and means for the staff to be able to do their job and to be able to support the staff as well.
Okay. What do you see as the strengths within the Siren School District?
A couple of the big ones just from being around some of the events and attending the powwow here a couple of weeks ago. And Corey said this again, I feel like I'm copying him, but the staff that I see and interact with the students and the kids, they seem to care. And I really like the small class sizes here compared to some of the other school districts around. A couple of the big things that have stuck out to me.
And lastly, what would you like to see changed within the Siren School District?
I don't know that I can fairly answer that right now with digging in and doing a little bit of homework on that particular thing or that particular question.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you guys.
Okay. Allergies. Oh, sorry. Yep, we're gonna pass out the ballots now. And please write down which candidate you want to vote for. You can also
Are we gonna put them back in this?
yeah, just dump that.
The voice vote?
Unless requested, it's done by ballot.
Okay.
Just for clarification, will the votes be announced out loud?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that we're doing it all in open.
Yeah, we'll get a basket here. I'll get it.
So yes, you can write down the name of one of the candidates, or you can write down none of the above, if you would so choose to do so. And then, sorry.
Did you have it?
I had his.
Okay, perfect. And then do we give it to,
We could give it to Lisa to read.
or Lisa on it, or Carrie, or Kevin, or whoever?
Not me, I can't.
Yeah,
You want to do it?
we'll have Lisa do it.
I don't know if she
Laura can
needs
do
to
it.
write it.
There you go.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
One for Cory. Two for Cory. One for Jesse.
3 for Corey.
Mhm.
4 for Corey. And 2 for Jesse. Yeah.
So if I heard that correctly, that gives us a total of 4 for Corey and 2 for Jesse, which gives Corey the majority vote. And we welcome him to his new position.
You raise your right hand and read this.
I, Corey D. Bauer, have been elected or appointed to the school district of Siren Board. Swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my abilities. So help me God.
You, and I'm gonna have you sign it, and I'm gonna notarize it. You like a copy of this? Thank you.
Again, congratulations, Corey. And congratulations, Polly, on your election going as well. And Eric's reelection. All right,
Sorry, one more clarification. I know that Polly had done her oath. I'm assuming Eric, have you? Okay, thank you.
all right. On to board reorganization. So the first thing we're going to do is look for nominations for board president. Does any board member wish to make a nomination?
I'll make a nominate Tom for president.
Second.
I nominate Katie.
Hold on.
You don't need a second.
No, no, no.
Nomination.
Yeah. So
Okay, I got Kelly.
we got one nomination for me. We got one nomination for Katie.
And who did that come from?
That came from Polly. Do I have any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right, just like before. Yeah. It's a little bit easier.
Here, you would both pick a staff.
For the next one.
We're gonna have to keep going. Okay.
Anyone need a pen? Good.
Oh, Corey got signed. Okay, so we're voting for president.
Yes.
That one?
Yep.
Oh, I guess Laura gets to do this again.
Yep.
Oh, it's not me getting it.
Okay.
And a white.
Yeah.
Another one for Tom.
Okay.
3 for Tom. 4 for Tom. 5 for Tom. 6 for Tom. And 1 for Katie.
Okay. So 6 votes for me, 1 vote for Katie.
Congratulations, Tom, you're the president. Woo!
I can move my chair. I didn't want to load up too much. Thank you all. I appreciate it, and we'll now move on to the vice president. Looking for nominations for vice president.
Jamie, are you vice president now?
I've been current. Yeah.
I nominate Jamie, vice president.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Congratulations, Jamie, you're the vice president still. All right, moving on to treasurer.
Nominate Katie for treasurer.
We have one nomination for Katie. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Congratulations, Katie, you are treasurer still.
We got it. Yeah. We got proactive, so we didn't need it.
All right. And then clerk.
Oh.
All right, I'll nominate her for question.
We have a nomination for Eric for clerk. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Congratulations, Eric, you are.
Right.
Okey dokey. As far as. I'm gonna reorganize committees when we get to the committee meeting part of it. And we'll just go into that at that point for scheduling purposes. So moving on. Debbie Burnett, Baird Loan Options. You can come up
I'll
here.
give, Debbie, I'll give her a little, so, as you know, with our referendum that we did, we were looking at, the board had actually chose Community Bank for a 10-year loan, I don't know if you remember that. Community Bank came back and we had talked to them recently, and they just don't feel like they can handle the loan based on the size and the number of years and that, so I just reached out to Debbie, who has helped us through the process from the beginning, to talk to our local bank as well. And so when I reached out to her, she's with Baird, also works with our budget forecast model and that. And we'll be talking referendum when that comes to be, but in the meantime, she's got set up several options. For that loan. Debbie, I don't know if you have the numbers from when we did the presentation to the public, like I have this sheet right here, I don't know if you want to talk about the percentage. And the rate of the years, just so they were,
Oh,
just so, I
yes.
don't know if you had that, but.
Yes,
So when we presented to the public, we had a certain percentage interest rate that we were presenting in addition to the length of the years on the loan. So that'll compare to some of the things that she'll be talking about tonight. So I'm just gonna turn it over to Debbie. She's an expert. She's very intelligent in this area. And so she's gonna help us through with the next option since Community Bank could not take our loan at this point in time.
thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
So it's good to be back. Most of the time I've gotten to present with you, it's been virtual, so thank you for having me in person as well. So last time we talked, we were monitoring the 3 different options for the bank loan. So just to backtrack further, referendum passed in November for the facility portion, 1.4 million. We looked at several financing options and the local bank was competitive in it. And so we, at that time, thought it best to keep the business local, go to the local bank. And they could finance it for a 10-year balloon. And we looked at the 3 different scenarios with the balloon, right? So when I heard from Kevin that the local bank isn't able to anymore, we came back to what are some other options that we have. So in your board docs, we put together a similar three option scenario to what we looked at originally, updated with current assumptions and such. So there are 3 main ways outside of the local bank that we could secure the financing for you. All 3 of these scenarios have assumed a June 10th date to have the funds in your account so that you can move forward with the projects. I know that one of the projects I know is itching to start to move forward at least. So they're all assuming a June 10th issue date. The first is a state trust fund loan. And that one, they have static rates. They're posted on the website for a 20-year maturity. It would be a 6.5% interest rate. We've used the full 20 years of borrowing authority. And we'll talk about some nuances of these on the next slide when we get there. But this comes in at the most expensive option if we factor in principal and interest. The annual payment levy, so this doesn't come out of our operational funds, it's an additional levy, would be about 125,000 with a total cost of about 2.5 million if you paid as scheduled. This, of course, and we talked about that in the last meeting. This is a 6.5%. You could refinance it if interest rates come down, and you can prepay as well. For comparison purposes, we used a 5.25% for the referendum planning rate. So this option would come in higher than what we had run as estimates during the referendum. The middle one, it's labeled as a bank loan. Essentially, instead of working with your local bank, we reached out to some of the larger network banks. And in this case, the bank is Huntington. They're very active with school district debt. And they offered a 4.7%, which is a very good rate in today's market. We have it modeled out over 20 years. We're still waiting to hear back from them. They may require, similar to what your local bank said, where we call it a 10-year balloon. They might require a 15-year balloon. And then you could then refinance if you weren't able to chip away. So same concept. We weren't able to finalize as of today. For apples to apples, we did 20-year for this comparison, but know that it may need to be 15. This is the lowest cost option, an annual levy of about 110,000 to repay, with a total cost a little over 2 million. And we'll talk about the prepayment and such on the next slide. And then the third option is a market issue. And that's where we take this and we go to broader investors, life insurance companies, retail investors and such. And the current estimate in today's market is a 566. The 4.7 that I just talked about on the bank loan, that's known. The 566 is just an estimate at this point. We did allow for about 35 basis points of cushion, meaning if we locked in today, it'd be 0.35 lower, but it still is higher than the bank loan, lower than state trust fund. Total cost would be approximately 2.36 million, annual levy of about 118,000. So of those three, if we look purely at the levy and the cost, the bank loan comes in at the lowest cost to the district as scheduled, with that known rate of 4.7. We were waiting, they have to do a preliminary credit check on Siren before they can say a go ahead. And we did hear back from them today that you passed credit committee. So pending the board saying yes, and we find out some of the details that you're good to go in that avenue. State trust fund loan, there's no credit check. Market issue, we go to the market unrated insured. And so we know we can access the market that way. The market or the bank loan was the only one where we had to make sure we passed credit, which you did.
I have a question. Why don't we look at US Bank or Bremer Bank as local banks? I mean, why are we just looking at community? Do we discuss it with Bremer Bank, or is there a reason why we don't?
Well, Community Bank was our bank that we
I know.
dealt with, and the other one chose not to work with us on other projects.
In the past?
Yes.
So we just don't.
Community Bank has been the most flexible. That's where we have our.
Right, yeah, I understand that. I was just curious with them, after they said,
Yeah.
We don't want, I just didn't know if there was ever a communication with Bremer or, US banks usually, they just left here, so they're still in the
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, in
They're in
the past,
Frederick
but
and
we have
Webster.
reached out to all three, and correct me if I can't remember exactly, but Community was the only one that really warmed up to us. I don't want to say.
Yeah, I was just
specifics, 'cause I
curious.
don't wanna-
Maybe they don't work with schools regularly. If Huntington does work with schools regularly, it could just be that as a potential.
I was just curious, maybe US worked with Webster or not, being that their branch is still open in Webster, just curious.
And you sure can. What you could do is take this 4.7% and go to those two banks and say, can you meet or beat this, or would you be interested? And if they would, you sure could.
Okay.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm not against what we're
Yeah,
proposing. I was
absolutely.
just curious, just knowing there's two other banks in the area. I was just curious.
Where is the Huntington Bank located out of? Where is the main?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know.
I mean, so many are virtual.
Right, somebody's just online.
They do.
Heard of them before.
tons
Yeah,
of
that's right.
different-
Polly, they bought TCF.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they're not in Minneapolis, but there are
Sure,
branches
okay.
in
Yeah,
Minneapolis.
Okay,
I mean,
got it.
Midwest, but I really
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great
TCF
question.
is familiar to me at least, so.
Okay. They were really active this fall and, they were, just great partners to schools through the fall referendum process. So it was nice to see them come back now this spring and have something
That's
to
good.
offer to.
So would that be a quick turnaround, and Debbie, if I did reach out to these banks, just do it quick as I can and just see?
Because we're still waiting anyway from Huntington.
There are a few details to work through. Our goal would be if you choose to work with your local bank, that's something that you can work directly with them on and get the approvals at the board level. If we do move forward with a bank loan or a market issue, it initiates with board. All of them do board action, but we're involved in those.
Yeah.
And so our thought was we would target your May board meeting for board consideration with the idea that we could then have the funds in your account in June.
So we'll
that
have
gives you a
time
little
for the
time.
May meeting to get this, if that's what you prefer.
Yeah, I just comment, I guess I don't know what
Mhm.
the rest of.
Yeah, Huntington is headquartered out of Columbus, Ohio. So just because people ask,
But there's branches, yeah.
but yeah, there's branches all over.
So the second page, that I wanted to just highlight some of the similarities and differences between the investment vehicles. So the state trust fund loan, there isn't a cost in order to initiate it. You work directly with them in order to set it up. It does have the highest interest rate though, so you're paying on the back end to save on the front end. If you're interested in that, some of the details, it can be called, which means prepaid at any time, between January and August every year. So if you wanted to refinance it, it has a flexibility there. They allow you to finance it up to the 20 years. And you can then prepay it annually as well. You can refinance it, and there's really no offering document put together. The state trust fund has preset paperwork that the district fills out. It's a very prescribed method as they go through. The placement, there is a cost of issuance to that, and because of how it's structured, it would have to be paid out of the 1.4 million. So you would have a little less for the projects. I understand they're okay budget wise for now to where that could fit. But just something to be aware of in the process. You save the most total interest over the project with a little cost up front. That one wouldn't be prepayable for the first 5 years, but then could be refinanced or prepaid thereafter, unless it was refinanced on the taxable basis in the meantime. The amortization, we're still waiting to hear if they need to do the 15-year balloon or we'll finance it for 20 years from the get-go. So we can finalize that when we hear back. You can prepay it. There are some nuances in there that we have to help you monitor, but you can prepay. And then to issue that debt, we help you fill out what's called a term sheet. You've already passed their credit, but in there it has your enrollment, it has your property value, just some basic things that they then put in their files in order to make it final. And then the public offering is the highest cost option upfront. It's the middle cost option as we look at total interest cost. The public one, however, we can have them upsize the issue in order to cover the costs on your behalf. So we go out to market, they send you 1.5 million, they generate premium for the other 37,000, and that goes to pay the bond counsel, which exists in the placement. It covers our fee, it covers the official statement and such. That one doesn't have as much flexibility with the call. So the market right now wants an 8 to 10 year call, and why that is at some point, we think interest rates will come down. So they'll offer you a lower rate today, but they want some assurance that you won't refinance on a taxable basis as soon. And so you could refinance it taxable prior to, but to get the full tax exempt, which is the lower rate, you need to wait longer than the placement or the state trust fund loan. We can finance it up to 20 years. You can prepay or defease at any time. And that one, the reason why the cost is higher, you have to do a full official statement, which is about this thick. And it's the borrowing document that goes out to all the investors, and that could be, like I said, a life insurance company, retail accounts. We even had a school district who had a community member. Usually you have to have at least 100,000 or so to invest, and a community member wanted to buy some of the debt. We're able to arrange that. So I wanted you to see all the different options that went with them. The placement is the lowest cost of these here. And as long as it fits within the budget of the 1.4 million to pay those cost of issuance, it seems like the most cost effective for you long term. But it really is the board decision with how you, if you want to choose any of these pending hearing from the local bank. Did I explain that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Do you have any questions related to it or anything you thought of that I didn't cover?
Not offhand.
I mean,
If
if,
you do have anything, I can always
Yeah.
get it to her as well.
I mean, we're 2 months out right now for this date of June 10th. So if something gets
A month.
deferred past May, we're gonna be into July or August of getting funds.
And it's not a rush on our end.
Right,
Except the rates might change.
right.
The issue would be as you look to do some of these projects, typically over the summer months.
Yes,
You just
and
need to
they're
have those
lined up to
conversations.
start.
Yeah, you got it.
At this point, I think we need to get word from those other 2 local banks, and we should look at making a decision whether we're gonna go with potentially a local bank or the Huntington offer.
Yeah.
I would definitely
Just
go with the
'cause-
bank option
Yeah,
on
I
here
think
and then look
Yeah.
at if there would be a local option.
Yeah,
That would be fine with me. So is this a motionable item or are we just working this?
think we
I
just,
mean,
need-
yeah, it's okay, but I just, it's nice to have it formal in minutes, so that you just give me directive on what to do. So
so,
somebody would make a motion just to do that.
all right, I'll make a motion that we go with the bank loan option after looking into the possibility of a local bank to match the Huntington rate.
I'll second that.
All those or motion by myself, seconded by Kelly.
Wait, you said we'll go with the Huntington Bank, or are you saying we'll look at the other ones
We
first?
will look at the other ones
Okay,
first. If they can come in at the same or
Okay, I
lower.
was just confused
Yep.
about the wording.
Yeah.
But if
uh,
there is paperwork that needs to move forward with that Huntington Bank one,
So my question for you is, that's why I wanted you to do it in a motion. So let's say I reach out to one of the locals and they're willing to do it and it's lower, can I just roll? That's what, because I think we
Yeah.
want to move on this, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And then I'll work up with you and just make sure I'm doing everything properly in terms of
You can look it
that
over.
there's no hidden costs or anything like that.
Can we amend the motion with just a friendly amendment that says that we would agree to the lowest rate between Huntington and the local banks?
That sounds
And
fair.
then that would give you
Yeah.
the,
Yeah, because I figure you guys just you don't want to come back and meet again, right? You want to move on it because we need to get these
We
projects
do,
going.
yeah, unless it needs to go to budget committee next month, if it's available at that point, and then it can come to the full meeting. If there is anything to report
So
back.
if we say if it's the same or lower, move forward,
with a local bank.
yes.
I mean, otherwise,
We're only concerned with the rate.
No, I
no,
mean,
the terms in general.
yeah,
if the terms match and it comes in with a lower rate or better terms.
Yeah.
We would go with the local bank. So we already have one motion. It's already been seconded. If we want to redo this, we're basically gonna have to redo the motion all over again, so.
Well, so we have.
It was a friendly amendment, so
Yeah.
it can just, if you're willing to accept it as the maker of the motion, then it just flies.
All right, with the friendly amendment of going with the local bank if they come in with a lower rate or better terms and going ahead with that.
first time.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, Debbie, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, moving on. We have a donation from Angstrom Construction
I'll
to
make-
middle school track team.
I'll make a motion to accept the donation, middle school track snacks from Engstrom Construction.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Jamie, seconded by Polly. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Moving on. Comments from the public. Do we have any public that wish to speak this evening? Okay. Treasurer's report. You want to say anything about this, Laura?
You guys see it at the budget meeting?
Yeah.
Is there any of the forecasting information to speak about yet?
I was just gonna talk about it in my report.
Perfect.
So,
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report for March.
We have a motion by Katie, seconded by Eric. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
I'm gonna abstain from that. I didn't have a chance to look it over.
And I was just
That's
gonna say, you guys probably have a lot of questions about them as well.
All those opposed? Okay, so we have one abstaining.
Maybe Corey.
Corey, do you wish to be marked as an abstaining as well?
Yes, please.
You have two abstaining. Okay. Part of this, the expenditure spreadsheet, this is information purposes, correct?
You guys didn't see this at budget, though, did you?
I don't know if we saw this exact one at budget.
yes, we did.
Yeah,
because
okay,
I-
yeah.
I do, okay, so I had the dashboards, if you remember those. And so this is basically everything in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And you asked me to just, this looks better, so,
Yeah, I mean, it's still,
but I
Like
can
big
have them
no-
both, I can have both the dashboards. And,
Yeah.
so this is the tracking of our current expenditures in percentage.
and we look really good, right? I mean, we are spending around at budget.
Trying to
We're-
keep
right.
it, we're at the quarter, we were right on in terms of
Yep.
the third quarter. But as I mentioned before, one of the things that we're concerned about was the PTO time was new.
Mhm.
Something we didn't have any experience in dealing with because it's different than just vacation or personal days. So that's something that we're watching as well. And so once the next one is updated, we'll have more information for you. And we should have the budget forecasting sheet available as well.
And will that one include that short-term borrowing? I thought you said you had figured out a way to represent the short-term borrowing, because that's not a DPI requirement.
It'll show on the cash flow tab, not in the revenue.
Okay.
Okay.
The expense for the interest expense for it will show up as a line item on the Fund 10 expenditure tab.
Yep.
The cash for it gets picked up in the cash flow tab.
Okay. So just since that's been something that we've been looking at is how much we're short-term borrowing and not having a means of visually seeing it every month other than on the treasurer's report.
And this was more informational. This one didn't get approval. That was just to show you
Yep.
where we were.
In some of these accounts, it shows a large surplus in or unspent because it doesn't get allocated until the end of the year. So in case anyone was wondering why we still have like 100% of one of these or some of these others are higher as well, that's why. And then there was, it looks like some increases in the business administration and central services over the proposed budget. And there were some rates that were raised regarding telephone and whatnot from what we were told, so. Thank you for the information. All right. President's report. I just want to say it's wonderful to have a full board once again. Really appreciate our newly elected, our re-elected, our appointee joining us. Look forward to accomplishing great things all together, and hopefully we got a great year coming up, and hopefully we're able to finish this one strong as well. Don't forget, we're into track season and baseball and all those wonderful things. So let's get out there and make sure, softball, yes, and make sure we're supporting Dragons and the storm and all of our kids.
Baseball's gonna be going till July.
Well,
They
we got
keep
some rain.
Never too early to start supporting.
That's why we're here at 7:30 tonight.
Yeah,
Mhm. Crap, we got it all.
yep,
Oh,
crap's
as well.
been doing good too, so.
Graduation. Right.
All right. On to the superintendent reports.
I started sharing this several years ago because there was questions about it and what kind of usage our students did. So I just have them at the end when they do it. I just have them printed out each year. Just to let you know, it is a valuable program. And just wanted to share that document with you, to let you know where we're at.
And we don't pay for that, right? Like it's
No.
just a free service that comes in. Thank you.
It's a great service. I
Yeah,
hope,
it really is.
hope we continue to.
I mean, I'm
Fortunate
guessing
enough to
some of
have
the,
it.
probably you would know, maybe the only time some of these kids,
Sometimes, yeah.
see a dentist, I suppose.
Right.
Cleaning.
Plus it helps, like, you'll get notes like on certain stuff they come across and stuff like that too, so. It's like stuff you might not even be aware that your kids were dealing with, even if they do go to the dentist normally, so. Yeah, great program, absolutely. Fundraiser information?
Just as the board directs me to do so, this is another fundraising effort, informational to the board. You can see the purpose there.
I like this local too.
Yep. Hopefully they sell a ton of pizzas.
I think they're done now. I think it was done on the 24th.
Well, I
Well,
hope they.
you got an
Something
eighth grade.
else.
Huh?
That's for something.
The pizzas? It was eighth grade. I don't know what day they were done. Sophia was supposed to, we can talk about it.
Well,
She was seventh grade. She
It
was. gonna
started
buy
on the
it,
eighth,
forgot.
so. Hopefully everyone's got their freezer full now, or will.
I think Square One had some issues with that power outage.
Bummer.
It lost like 50 grand.
Oh, geez.
So, been there, not fun. All right. Moving on, Baird Consulting forecasting update.
Yeah, so when talking with the Budget and Finance Committee, we wanted to go ahead and use more of a number-based system for forecasting for, let's say, referendum dollars and things like that. We tried a forecasting model several years ago. It was very difficult, very un-user friendly. It was a different company and we had a lot of difficulty with it, so we kind of pulled back. And it was like, it was like $6,500, a little costly, and we just had a hard time using it. So then after talking with the committee, decided to look at maybe another model. The Baird model, which Debbie's very involved in, is very highly used in the state of Wisconsin. I don't know how many districts exactly, but it's very, very well used in Wisconsin, and it's highly recommended by our auditors and by our rating company, S&P Global. So we met, it was a $4,000 cost, a little cheaper than the $6,504, that's for a year. And we do get consulting services with this. We met with Marquez Guzman, who's our consultant, to start pre-populating the budget model last week. Basically what he does initially is gets everything pre-populated, and most of it is based on, he uses our assessed value and different things like that based on the geography of the area, like not a lot of information that we use. Now he's asking for the specific information to be put in. We're meeting with him tomorrow. So for example, the spreadsheet that I just shared with you with the percentages of the expenditures, that was something that he just guesstimated at. He didn't have the actual numbers in there. So he did give us some numbers and outlook, but it's not based on real numbers. It's based on an assumption. And so Laura has done that, sent that to him. He's uploaded that data. So that'll be something we'll talk about tomorrow.
Mhm.
The other thing is it's a very conservative model. So it does make assumptions that sometimes the expenditures later in the year may not be as great as what the model is suggesting. It's conservative, which is good.
Mhm.
So that was a good point. And the one thing too I want to mention is the minute he talked to us right away initially, he said, your budget is very clean. He said, it's a very clean budget. Now, obviously we have expenditures and revenue issues, which that's an issue. It's always gonna be. But in terms of the budget itself and the expenditures, the coding and the cleanliness of the budget, he was very, very impressed with that. And he said most districts he meets with initially, he has to do a lot of cleaning up of, or organizing of the budget. So kudos to Laura for making that known, or doing that. So that's been beneficial, and we'll have more data. I'd like to have an early meeting in May because there's gonna be some budget decisions that are gonna have to be made. So I don't know when committees are gonna be determined or whatever, but almost the
Tonight.
first week of May, because teacher contracts come out on May 15th, and we have to make decisions before that.
Has he given, does he have any ability, I'm stuck on the short-term borrowing thing, of looking at our short-term borrowing and having an estimation when we might be out of that cycle?
I don't know that we're ever gonna be out of the cycle. The problem that we're having is we're short-term borrowing too regularly.
Right.
And normally districts short-term borrow
Sure.
in between payments.
And that, maybe that's what I mean.
So what, yes, we did bring that up right away.
Okay,
There may be some strategies we have to do, but the bottom line is I think we need to just look at some reductions. I think that's where it all starts because, and he'll lay it all out for us. And so that's why it's nice to have a third party at least tell us
Mhm.
like what we think we already know, but we don't think you guys always think we know that. So it helps if we have somebody who's guiding us in that manner, and rightfully so. So we'll meet with him tomorrow. I'll email the board or Tom or whatever you want me to do, and we'll set up a meeting as quick as possible on it. And then, yeah, he's already got some scenarios running in his mind already. He was a business manager in Big District for many years, and he consults directly now with Baird. So he's seen, and he made it clear, he's seen a lot of difficult scenarios as ours. So,
Yeah, we just need to get things more in line and maybe a little bit more realistic. I know that with the short-term borrowing, it's kind of a revolving door, but the door should still be able to close once in a while.
we talked about cash flow and that.
And hopefully it will, if we do this and get more in line with things, will be more enticing once again to places like Community Bank to deal with and whatnot. Cause we're always gonna have to be doing it, and like to have them on our side a little bit easier in the future. Moving on. Osbo U.
Just the document I received, just wanted to give Laura kudos on that for,
good job.
Congratulations.
I think you guys approved that months ago when we were
Yep.
talking about
Yep.
this. So she did achieve it, just want to share that with you, I got that letter, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Keep up the great work. And update on USDE Title
Okay.
VI certification.
So this was a very difficult scenario dealing with, because what happened was the federal government sent out documents that they wanted state organizations like the Department of Public Instruction to certify that all of their districts were in line and will be in line with their equity
Inclusion.
and inclusion policies, right? So what they were doing is they were peppering the DPI and other states and wanting them to sign off on this because, hey, if you don't sign off on it, we're gonna hold your federal funds. So it put people in a panic mode, but DPI had some questions. So they fired back some questions, didn't get a response from DOE. And then they were like, wait a minute. And so a lot of the professional organizations like WASDA and their legal counsel that were saying, guys, don't sign these documents. So then once there was a deadline that was extended, once the deadline came close, which was last Friday, I reached out to our legal counsel because they're saying, talk to your local legal counsel. And one of the things he said was, talk to your board president. And obviously Tom didn't have a lot of background on this, and we tried.
Well, the thing with it is I wasn't willing to just go ahead and sign off on something like this without consulting the rest of the board in regards to this matter, because some of the initial things that were coming out in regards to this letter that they wanted to sign would have potentially affected some of the programs we have here at school regarding the Native American community. And I didn't wanna set up our kids basically for another loss or another failure, and therefore I didn't wanna sign off on it. But as you saw from the letter we received, supposedly anything in regards to that is not going to be touched at this.
So that letter coming through was one of the questions we were like, didn't know. So a lot of the districts in our CISA all of a sudden started sending them in. So I think 17 sent in the signed document and 16 didn't. And legal counsel was always saying, don't necessarily sign off on this. You can always come back later and talk with your board and whatever. So anyway, our counsel said, look, if this document doesn't look like the certification documents that you normally sign off on for those federal funds, don't sign it. And it was just, it was like a DOE memo came through and they were just saying, get it signed and all this and that. And so we just held, because it didn't look like the same document, we held it. I did send, I showed Tom, there were alternate documents that were created by an attorney, letters that you could send, not the actual document that you signed, but letters saying you're basically doing it. So I reached out to a couple other superintendents and I did send a letter to DPI saying we're in compliance based on the format that the legal counsel gave us. And it is legally defensible, so that document would hold up. But the bottom line is, after you saw the dispatch letter come out, it seems like it's gonna be a court issue now. And I don't think districts are gonna have to comply with any of this at this point in time, because the courts are involved now. They've denied it in several states, which I think you've seen. But this was a source of a lot of tension and stress, because obviously we wanna sign off on it because we wanna get federal funds. They were threatening not to give it to us. But at the same time, they were saying, if you sign off on that, we don't know what that means for your district, especially with our population. We're very concerned about that. So anyway, that's where we are now. It's in the courts, and I'll keep you up to date on where we are. So they're not, okay, so we were just on a WASBO conference, Laura and I, with this business officials. They indicated that this year, 24-25, federal funds are fine. Nothing, they can't do anything right now. Next year, 25-26, you might see a modest decrease in federal funds. We don't know this and that. And that's why the forecast model is so important, because we have to be more conservative, because we don't know what our federal funds are gonna be, and we never know our budget until October, which we begin our fiscal year in July. No business runs like that. So that's another thing that we have to factor in or whatever, and that's what he was trying to do, Marquez. But yeah, so anyway, but they did say then in 26-27, it's gonna be the Wild West with federal funds, and they have no idea what that, and that's a quote. They just said, we have no idea, this is gonna be crazy when it. That's just what they were saying. I don't know if it's true, but 3 years down the road, that's when they said. Or 2 years from now, this year.
Which is another good reason to get on with this forecasting, because they'll be able to project all those possible scenarios a lot better than just us guessing at random.
And just another thing, we were never complied to do anything from the district in terms of that signature. We were never, it was never on the districts. It was always on the state DPI.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I did ask Kevin to see what other districts that have a potential similar makeup to our demographic we're doing with it. The one thing he found out was, I guess, Webster was sending out a survey in regards to it. And like Turtle Lake did sign off on it. And I don't know if any of the other.
So Webster, I have it right in front of me. Webster's waiting. Turtle Lake did sign off. Unity did sign off. Brandsburg, I think, sent the modified letters that I did. But there's a variety of them. Luck signed off on it. Yeah, so, I mean, I can read them all to you if you want.
No. And the thing of it was that it mainly just was reiterating that we're following all the Title VI things, and then they snuck in a line in regards to the DEI stuff, and that was where the big part of the clarity was coming up, and we already are flying with Title VI, as it were. So, or did I say Title IX? I meant Title VI.
We
I don't
see it.
Yeah.
This paper that was
The
sent?
form?
Yeah.
Yep,
Oh, yeah, I'll send it to
Yep.
you. I mean.
yeah, absolutely. Anyone that wants to see it, you're more than welcome
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. Actually, I can send you the letter that I sent too. So I can send you the letter and the form.
That'd be great.
Yep, sure.
Any other questions or
Right
thoughts?
now, it's up to the courts.
Yeah, yeah. So my understanding is based on the letter that I just put in here that's in bold is like, I don't think it's legal for the government to do that. Say, hey, we're gonna hold federal funds if you don't comply with DEI. So that's how I interpret it. I don't know if that's accurate, but we just don't know what compliance with DEI means. And with our diversity, we didn't wanna do anything that might cost us. Cause they were cautioning us that the government couldn't sue you if you did sign off on this, but private entities could sue you. So they said, you know, be careful of that. So they were just cautioning at this point in time. So,
Yeah, if you could send us that stuff.
yep, sure.
Any other thoughts or comments? Okay, moving on. Principals reports. Mrs. Herman.
We have a lot of upcoming events at the elementary school as we near the end of the school year here. Starting with this Friday, we have our 5th grade going over to Mille Lacs to the Native American Museum over there. It's a culmination after they read the Birch Bark House.
Yes.
I never know if it's Birch Bark or just Birch House. But after they read that as a whole 5th grade, then they go over to Mille Lacs and get to learn even more. So always an exciting trip for them. We have on May 20th, our spring music concert, which is new for the elementary, that we get to have something in the spring also. And so that will be our students singing as well as the band playing. Our 4th grade is headed to Fort Fall-Lavon up in Danbury. When they are studying the history of Wisconsin, they go up there as their culmination of that study. We've got 4K graduation on the 29th at 1:30. Our 3rd grade is going on a field trip tomorrow to Hunt Hill Audubon Society in Serona. And then they're also going to Crex Meadows on a trip at the end of May. And then our last day of school, because it's a full day, we have field day for the kids. So all the different games that they go outside and play and interact and have fun. A lot of things happening.
Well, very exciting.
There's a band field trip too.
I was just gonna say the
Yeah.
band
Yeah.
field trip is
First,
this
yeah.
There's two, there's a 5th and a 6th, isn't there? It's 2 different ones. And then kindergarten is going to the park.
They are going to the park. On the 13th, they're walking to Dairy Queen first, and then they're going to the park. We have a magic show coming in on the 9th also. We're just full of excitement and fun.
Yeah.
Petting zoo. Yeah.
Every day in the elementary grade.
Nice. Anyone have anything for Carrie? Moving on, Miss Campbell.
So our graduation is coming up May 16th. I know you guys have on the agenda to decide who's coming for our regular diploma students. A couple of things that we're really excited about for that is that as of right now, we are 100% on track this year, which has been our goal. Of course, we also have our alternative diploma as well and included in that. I'll talk more about that. Another huge highlight for this year's seniors. So it was similar last year, but I've just been starting to track it more and get a handle on things to kind of have an idea about future directions. But this year's class of seniors will be graduating with a total of 96 college credits, which is over $15,000 worth of value. So for our very small class, that's pretty substantial. So those are dual credits, which happen a variety of ways for our seniors. One of the things that we're looking at for next year is opening up dual credit or early college now to juniors as well. We have some interested parties. Right now, it's required that we pay for at least up to 18 credits, but a lot of schools in Lakeland are moving beyond that and starting the early college now as juniors so that they can have even more when they're graduating. So we're very excited about those pieces.
When you put those numbers together, can you put together the actual students that are utilizing it instead of like all the students in the senior class? I'm guessing not every one of them has gotten some of
Right,
those
yeah, like
credits.
how many?
How
total
many, yeah,
students
of that
get-
96
yeah,
credits, how many
yeah.
students are
Yeah.
utilizing that?
Yeah, and
I'm
it's,
sure it's
our
a-
top percentage
Right.
or whatever of
Yep.
kids that are doing it. Like last year, I know we had one senior that graduated with 21
Mhm.
credits. And so you can see that
Right.
it might only be a few kids, which actually we're working on putting together like a social media post for it. So we're
Yeah.
kind of gathering all that data.
Yeah.
But the other thing is on May 28th of this year, from 6 to 7, we will be having our second annual alternative diploma graduation. So we just want to invite everyone. We have, we believe, 3 that will be walking at that. So we're excited about that.
What day did you say that was, the 20th?
Yep, the 28th, 6 to 7, high school auditorium.
Last year was a real great event. Seeing those kids walk and their families, they were so excited and yeah, it was great. Look forward to it again.
Is regular graduation here
Yes, and the gym.
at 7?
Awards nights next Friday.
Friday, this next Friday, the 9th.
Baccalaureate.
And then what day are you doing the when they walk down the hall?
It's the same day, it's the 16th.
Mhm.
So they
Do
come
it
in
in
for rehearsal
Rehearsal,
in
yeah.
the morning and then walk the halls.
And then they get dismissed.
Yeah, and then they usually go do photos and whatnot. Then come back for ceremony. Any other questions about graduation? Graduation?
I'm gonna talk to you later to find out what my son put down for his name.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right, bullying.
All right, so we have been doing a lot of work with bullying, the last few years, and we've been kind of tracking. Now, granted, our bully report is not like all encompassing when it comes to bullying situations or even reporting, but it is something that we have that we can track and look at the data. So we are excited that we're considerably down this year in the middle high school from where we were at last year at this time. There were 22 total bully reports on that form, which is online. And this year we're at 14 incidents. One of the things about it is probably 8% of the time, when we look into the situations, they're generally deemed as conflict among students. A lot of times we'll get, one bully report against kid X, and then kid X fills out a bully report against kid Y, and it's back and forth talking about like what's going on. So one of the things that we've really worked on this year is using our restorative practices approach with issues of conflict in general, whether that comes from the bullying report or not. And that has been really, really successful. So basically we have pre-conferences with each kid individually. We talk about what the problems are. We talk about, ways, strategies to deal with conflict and relationships and things like that. Montana Weaver, our middle high school guidance counselor, and I meet with the kids, and then we ask them if they would like to have a structured conversation with the other individual. It's always 100% up to both parties to decide that, yes, they do want to be a part of that. And so there are times where kids choose not to, and it's not something that we ever make kids do. But if both parties say, yeah, I think I would feel better to be able to sit down and have adults there and have structured conversation about what's been going on and how it's been making me feel and that kind of thing, then we move forward with setting that up. And then we have specific ground rules for that space. And then we ask them specific questions that are aligned with restorative practices. And then, you know, the kids typically are able to work things out, talk about things. And these are generally, you know, lower level type things. But I actually had a couple of kids, I asked them if they would share their experience. So I have a couple of statements from some students that have been involved. Mostly these are peer-to-peer. We also have had some with students and staff. So when students and staff are butting heads or not seeing eye to eye on things, we've done it a couple of times that way as well. But we had one student that said, we got to talk about what happened from each point of view. I was able to understand the other person. It has been going good since then. We are close and repaired the harm that happened. And then I had another middle school student that says, a friend and I were avoiding each other and getting into arguments. We did a group and talked about things we did wrong to each other and how we could move on. We started talking to each other again and our friends. When we get into arguments now, we are better at talking through the problem and we hang out more. So those are just some student voice examples of how they're feeling about the process.
Are parents involved in that at all?
We have one, yeah. That was a student and a staff member where we did have a parent involved, and that's because the student requested that the parent be there.
So the parents aren't notified automatically if they're putting the reports in?
No, but it's always low level.
Yeah.
So in restorative practices, if there was ever a situation that was to be deemed higher level, then you would involve parents before. And there have been even slightly higher level, we've informed parents ahead.
And then if the parents put in the actual, put it in,
Sure.
there's also emails go back to the parents after explaining what was done.
Mhm.
It's just so that that's.
Great.
So with these numbers are these the students reporting the bullying, or is this students and parents reporting the bullying?
It's just
No, it's both.
bully reports, so
Okay, and
whoever filled them out.
And it's just, this is the amount of reports, not the amount of persons?
Yeah, this is the reports.
Okay, just double checking.
Incidents.
I would love if we could also get the numbers for this in elementary as well at some point here. Just to be able to contrast and compare those.
My students
well.
at the elementary, only 5th grade, know how to use the bullying form at this time.
But
Online
their
would be hard.
parents know how to as well.
I'm not sure about that. Excuse me. Sorry. It is in my handbook for the upcoming year. But we haven't ever used the bullying form until this year, with 5th grade. So it's just not something we've done. So I'm making changes in that as.
Is the form, like a link to the form, is it on the Chromebook on the homepage? Like Jesse's already, it's on like our website
Yes.
homepage?
You go for students.
Okay,
So students or parents can fill
Okay.
it out. So I, as part of the handbook, because I've been working on that, it's going to be how to get to that form, and
Yeah.
students and parents are encouraged.
I mean,
to fill
all
it
the
out.
kids have a Chromebook.
Right.
Is there a way that Jesse could upload that link as just an icon on the homepage? So that it's there and it would be a little less rub for them to try to get on the website and go to the spot and find it if it's just a link right
I
there.
imagine you could create an icon for the homepage.
Right, that would just take you right to that if you clicked on it. I don't know if that would be helpful for students. I mean, we don't want to over encourage, obviously, but we want people to utilize it. Like you wonder if the numbers went down because bullying went down or just because people aren't taking all those steps to get online and fill the form out. And if it made it easier for the elementary kids to just go, that's where I go. I don't have to figure out how to web page works at 3rd grade or whatever.
And I don't know how far down we'll actually
Right,
go
I don't know
with
what would be
it. I mean, we
most
started at
appropriate.
Fifth grade and we talked about maybe doing fourth grade next year.
Mhm.
So we would do fourth and fifth right at the beginning, but I
Sure.
don't think we'd go any lower.
Yeah.
I mean, it is open to anybody, but if the kids could,
Yeah.
you know, if the third grader could go on there and figure it out.
Right, right.
Yeah, but it'll be in the handbook.
That would be good. Anything else for Jamie in regards to the bullying? All right, moving on. Sped director, roles and responsibilities.
Yep, it's my month. This is not an exhaustive list by any means, but as I was sitting down and doing things, I just started jotting stuff down on paper. A good chunk of my time is spent dealing with special education, as it should be. I do a lot of things with our Go Idea, which is our paperwork system. So I'm reviewing IEPs in there, I'm archiving IEPs, I'm setting up students, I'm setting up staff. I am submitting IEPs, transportation logs, attendant care logs for SBS billing. So those have to go down to CISA. I am in classrooms, I'm working with kids, I'm doing a lot of running when we have walkie calls for whatever student. I do schedule IEP meetings. I'm in the middle of writing a few IEPs right now. I participate in early childhood transition planning meetings. Procedural self-compliance assessment, we do that every 5 years to make sure that we are following the DPI guidelines. The last one we did was 22-23 school years, so we will be coming up again in a couple of years. Additionally, I coordinate the transportation schedule for students that need specialized transportation. I am the district test accommodations coordinator. So I am responsible for entering all of the accommodations for state testing for ACT, for pre-ACT, and for forward. And making sure that we have all of our information in for our diagnostic learning maps for our alternate assessment for our most severe students. I help with test administration if necessary. I've worked on developing test assessment schedules for some of those. I'm in the health office every year. I go through all the DPI trainings for medication administration. So if the health aide is out, I can jump in and help out with our required medications. I am the homeless liaison, so I'm entering that information into Power School. I am participating in some network opportunities that are virtual this year. Making sure that we have no errors in WISE data, which is the state system. Provide information if requested from the homeless. I also am kind of charged with the after-school bus cone duty, making sure that that spot's covered. Fill in with cafeteria supervision if needed. I do the annual non-discrimination report and the 5-year non-discrimination report review, which was last year, and the annual seclusion and restraint report. So it keeps me busy.
So, you have what you would call like a second, meaning like if you obviously have a crazy amount of responsibilities and things that you're doing. It's hard to believe that just one person could do this. And I know if, something were to come up, that's why I'm asking.
So when our previous director was here and was out on maternity leave, Carissa was able to go in and do some of this. And it has, since I've been in this position, it actually has evolved into bigger things, especially with WISE data coming in. But that I know she's been able to do some of the Go Idea stuff back when it was Oasis.
I had a previous employer, the hit by a bus plan, like what would happen if
Right.
you got hit by a bus?
She has
How-
access to do it.
Yeah.
But it's not one of the things that require her. She's got enough to do with all of the
Right.
initial evaluations that have been coming in and some of those kinds of things, so.
What do you think of as far as your staffing right now? I mean, you obviously have a lot to do.
As far as my staffing right now,
Yeah. Or for next year.
I'm still in the planning stages. As of yet, I do not have an applicant for either one of my open positions. And
Those are both full-time?
Teaching.
they're both teaching positions.
It's true.
And I'm still reviewing the aid situation right now to see if I will need to add any of those staff come fall.
For this year in general, do you think you ran at staff or understaffed most of the time?
Well, it didn't help when one of my paras was out as a long-term sub for 6 months. So that made things a little crazy. We managed to get through it. It would have been nice to have an extra person or two when he was out, but everybody jumps in and helps out and we roll with it.
Can you remind me how many students do you have graduating out this year?
Well,
Roughly?
so this year we have 3, 4. It gets a little convoluted because we had some that completed their alternate diploma over the summer.
Sure.
And some that are working on it this year. And we've actually had a couple that were no longer in need of specialized instruction that were moved to 504 plans this year. So
That's good.
4 maybe?
Okay.
5? 4 or 5?
Yeah, and some more.
So,
What do you think the board could do to help with this, with your role? Do you need help? Do you need more things divided out? I mean,
it's a lot of things, but a lot of it are little things. So it doesn't, like, every other month I scan stuff in and submit it to CISA for SDS billing. So it's stuff that takes time. I have it scheduled, so I'm trying to keep it up on a regular schedule. But it isn't anything that, like, I have to do every week or every day. The walkie calls are every day, but a lot of the paperwork, reviewing and archive IEPs, I do that once or twice a month. It's not, because I know what I need to look for when I get in there, and I know there's a check forms button in there, and if there's any red X's, I'm in there trying to figure out what they didn't get done. So,
Whose position is Beth going into? For next year, cause she's switching to full-time sped, right?
correct, she's been split for the last 2.
Okay, so she's just been half, but she's going into full, so there's nobody she's kind of filling in.
Correct.
And Rachel's no longer here? Is Rachel still a para here? Brewster?
She is out on medical right now.
Okay. And then I guess since this kind of falls with you with paras, I was gonna ask Carrie about this, but with Hanson going out on maternity, I don't know when. Will you be losing a para? Is Elliot or gonna be subbing? Do we know?
No,
I don't know.
I don't know, just
I don't know.
curious.
the
Okay.
answer.
I don't think so.
Just
I think
curious.
she lined someone else up.
Okay, when is she out? Maybe I was gonna ask you. Okay.
Well,
Okay,
she hasn't made any final decisions.
and then you pretty much interview when you get applications coming in for paras and look, so we just really haven't had.
I've got a couple applications that have recently come in. I have not had the time to connect with them and schedule an interview.
Okay. Well, school year's almost over anyways, but it would be for next year they're looking,
next year.
okay, nice. Yeah, thank
Well,
you.
please keep us in the loop because having this many responsibilities, even if they are small, some things end up having to give at some point, especially when major fires occur, so to speak. So, you know, I think I can say the board basically wants everything to get taken care of as much as possible and have as much support for our sped students, because it helps alleviate some of the stress off of the other teachers as well.
Many districts don't have a full-time special ed director. They have a part-time director that shares duties if they're a full-time employee, so.
Yeah.
We're very thankful. Extremely. It makes everything so much better here than places that I hear lots of horror stories about. Or have even less than a half.
That works with a lot of districts and some do fine with a part-time or a half-time. When it's more than two different districts, it gets way worse, but.
Anyone have anything else for Denise? All right. Indian education report.
Tara's not here this evening.
Yep.
She had a family, and she did put her reports in here. If anybody has questions, I suppose I can.
Looks like Palo had a decent turnout. You said, Sugar Bush went well, I think at the last meeting, she said that.
Tribal graduation banquet.
Yep. May
Well,
7th.
the next one.
Same,
Next.
it's on the same
Yeah, it's on the
thing.
same page.
So. Yep. Can't think of anything. Be curious to know if there might be any summer programs that she might be looking into, or any education opportunities during the summer for cultural things and whatnot.
The tribe has the YES
Yeah,
program, so.
I know, but
Other than.
yeah, other
For the
than,
students.
yeah, other than just the YES program.
Does she get involved at all? It's more of a question for her with the tribal, like this tribes has like a tribal council with the youth going on. I don't know if,
Oh,
but
the
she
youth
really
tribal
doesn't need
council.
to. I just know like some of them went, but that's also multi-school district.
I feel like she. At least the 10. I think I've heard.
All right. Moving on for approval of the regular score. Pardon me. Regular school board meetings for the March 31st meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Katie, seconded by Kelly. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstaining on that?
I'm abstaining, I have not read them.
Okay.
Same.
So let it be noted that Corey and Polly both abstained. All right. Moving on, new business. Board members for graduation, 2025.
Yes, please.
I wouldn't mind doing it either.
It sounds like we have 2 volunteers.
3.
3?
Yeah.
Well, do we want 3 or?
Yeah, we all.
I'm fine with 3. I don't care.
You guys
We'll
fine
put
with
3 up
3?
there.
There's usually only been 2.
Just an extra
The
hand to
flowers
shake.
have been ordered, so we would maybe have looked at that, but.
I'm fine without.
Yeah, since my daughter's graduating, typically when my kids have graduated, I've sat as a parent. I still do my talk, but I sit as a parent, so there is
So then that would work.
another space.
So you might not get a flower.
What's that?
You might not. get a
Oh,
flower.
okay, I'm okay.
You're not giving us a speech this year?
I'll be good.
Oh, he said he'd give it.
Not here, the 3 who is.
Yeah, I was just gonna reiterate
Great,
that.
thank you.
So it'd be
Those with seniors.
Kelly, Jamie, and myself. Any objections? No. Okay. Fire and Police Department.
Actually, in your comment.
Yeah, so so we got a phone call from the police department, just basically stating what's listed in there. As you can see.
It's right, click on it.
What about sensitive
Oh,
documents,
right
leave
there.
it like paperwork?
Where it says there.
My apologies, I didn't put it in there.
Oh,
in my
sorry.
Copy packet, so you might want to just read it.
You want me to read it out loud?
I saw it on the website. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's in the public content.
Yeah.
too, yeah.
You guys have all seen it?
Absolutely.
Okay. And it was a phone call from the police department, just kind of giving us a heads up and a reminder, just be.
I'm not really sure how this could have happened, because during an expulsion, all documents are supposed to be turned in at the end of the expulsion
That's what we
anyways.
felt.
I mean, I'd prefer if there was more context than just a
Yeah.
phone call to the police department.
When would we have
'cause-
even seen an unredacted
Well, it
report? All
says
of
we
our
don't
reports
get 'em
are copied
anyways.
and
Yeah,
redacted.
exactly. So I don't know, unless people's interpretations of redacted are different.
So it was just a report to them. They didn't have the actual document that was said to be gotten.
This is all they gave us. This
is just that. Okay. All right.
Keep it in mind.
Yes, can you please read it to the public, otherwise tell us where we can find this?
It's on the agenda.
I'll go ahead and read it.
I did not see it on. the agenda.
General reminder that no Siren PD reports may be distributed ever. If someone requests them for any reason, the requester needs to go to the Siren PD with their request. No sensitive document should ever leave closed session meetings or expulsion hearings. If they are requested by a parent out of expulsion hearing, they may have a redacted copy only. Siren PD was told that a board member allowed a person to have a copy of an unredacted police report. There's a note, board members don't ever get unredacted police reports, so don't know how this could be true. If a board member did this for whatever reason, it would have already been redacted though when we received it to begin with. So that's what the full note on there says.
It is not public. Lisa.
It
says public.
Yeah,
And we have-
I only had access to what the public did. I did not receive anything else,
And
and
it's
I
not-
was able to access.
It's not an attachment.
Yeah, it's not an attachment, it's in the actual public comment written there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so we'll keep that in mind, keep doing what we're doing, I guess, or
They
something.
did just update a whole bunch of stuff within their office in order to actually be able to publicly give out reports, so it's probably just a reminder on that.
All right, moving on, policy 187, public comment updated. So, reviewing our public comment policy. For those that have been to any meetings as of late. I've been having to read augmented thing from legal, or was more like an addition to a statement at the beginning of the public comment period. That's just to go ahead and include that language within our own policy, so that way I don't have to keep doing it, or whoever would have been in this position wouldn't have to keep.
So there aren't any actual changes.
The only other change there is the dropping. We're going to change it from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, but I don't see that was changed.
I saw the last one that did say 5 minutes, and I saw this one that said the 3 minutes, but I didn't, they weren't together, so you couldn't really tell.
It's highlighted right there.
Oh, it's on, this one is the old one, sorry, my bad.
Yes.
For like 10 people, but 30 minutes. We
Yes.
figured if we did 3 minutes, we still get 10 people for the 30 minutes.
So it allows
Like,
for more speakers.
Has it
in-
been a problem? I mean,
Yes.
it's been a problem to have that we've had so many speakers, they haven't been allowed to speak.
No, it's just a lot of other districts have limited it down to 3 minutes.
So we're shorting.
But you don't know that everybody would do that.
No.
But
that's
you're
what
saying
we
some
shortened.
people have taken advantage of the 5 minutes.
So we shortened it to 3.
But that's the only changes that were put in. It was the addition of that language and the changing from 5 to 3 minutes.
So there had been no complaints about 5 minutes. You just,
It's right, it's still 30 minutes on.
I understand that. But if there was some new incident that came out and somebody felt they needed the 5 minutes, you're saying that They could have had that last month, but they won't have that moving forward.
Right.
Yes.
And this matches into what other districts
Right.
or surrounding districts have a 3-minute
Other
limit.
Yeah,
Right,
like
other
Webster has a
districts do 3 minutes.
3-minute.
So we matched other districts.
If you have one person that wants to speak, are you allowing them up
3 minutes.
just to the 3 minutes, not the full 30?
Unless they want to do a public appearance and go through
Sure,
that
be on the
route in
agenda.
regards to something.
So they
like
would
that.
still have the option of speaking longer if they got onto the agenda ahead of time.
Right, in regards to something, or agenda specific.
That's on the agenda
Yeah.
of the day.
Yeah,
Excuse me, at county board, they allow people to give other people their time, is that an option? And also I saw somewhere in the
I believe
packet that
that's
we
in
only
Robert's
had the
rules.
regular minutes. Regular meeting, not at committee meeting. Can we address that as well?
I believe it's in Robert's rules, and if we're going by that, then somebody can give their minutes
right.
away.
Say that
So-
last part, Becky.
The other was, I saw somewhere in the packet that they, nope, it wasn't in the packet, but anyway, I saw that they were talking about it going to possibly just be at the regular meeting and not committee meeting.
And not have public comment
Yeah.
at committee
Well,
meeting?
Well,
because
in
we'll
our-
address this in a little bit, what I don't know, Katie's proposing that we go to
A
a
different.
committee as a
Till
whole.
we get to that part,
Right,
but.
But
so.
they're
that's
also
what we're
within,
referencing,
within
Well, I know, but we can wait.
the public meeting laws, we're required to have one
Yeah.
open or for public discussion per month. And we haven't been having people show up at committee meetings. So that's why we kind of stopped putting it on some of them, because
I guess it doesn't hurt to have it on there though, because we just pass over it. And then that continues to allow people to have the option to be
Yeah.
there. And it allows for
But then
transparency.
if somebody comes, let's say policy committee, then we don't have to open it up to the board,
The regular meeting, you mean?
to the regular board meeting, because we only have to do it once a month.
I would hope that.
You know,
maybe
so then we
wouldn't
can
be
pick
that,
which one
though.
we wanna do.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying. it doesn't
Technically, we
hurt to
could
have, like,
already,
both.
but
Right.
I hopefully would never go that route.
No,
'cause-
right, but we only have to do it.
There's no harm in having it continue at the committee meeting level, though, having it on the agenda. Just to allow for the transparency of the public can attend and
Right.
speak there or here.
What the,
And we're not having people knock on the doors
Right.
and overload us with public comment at really any point in time.
well, I believe at the the committee meetings, it's if you're not part of that committee and you'd like to speak, you need to ask that president if you're allowed to ask the question, which
Mhm.
I know some of us have been doing,
Mhm.
but that's the policy. I believe that was
Yeah. that usually-
admin created. So what we need to, I'll make a motion to approve policy 187.
One second.
Yeah, motion by Jamie, seconded by Kelly. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No,
Yeah, no, for me as well.
You have 2 opposed. Any abstentions? Okay, majority pass. Moving on to the next bit. Policy 133, filling board vacancies updated. Let Kevin speak to this one.
Yeah, this was, we shared this with Bob Butler, and he reviewed it and looked it over from WASB, and you can see the item that he struck.
Oh, they're struck out.
Yeah.
I believe that was.
There they are, okay.
Yeah. Oh, the.
Oh, underlines are added,
Yeah,
okay.
the
Okay,
underlines, yeah.
that makes more sense.
I think this was something that came up, so we were told to have this reviewed by legal.
What did you find out for a tie?
For what?
A tie, was that added? Because we talked about that policy, what we're gonna do if there was a tie.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to go back to the process.
Supposedly, there's
Yep.
another policy that we have that says basically there's, right here. 5 rounds of voting, the board still is unable to fill a vacancy. Then they'll declare a deadlock, and then they'll look for nominations in order to break the deadlock.
Yeah, that was brought up at the WASB training,
By
that
randomly.
there isn't a tiebreaker. You go back to the table every time.
Sure.
Yeah,
So you randomly select a nominee.
yeah, from one of those, that's nominated by a board member.
But if then they both still get nominated,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, in the
we
past.
go round and
They
round.
said the policy was we drew out of a hat, so I'm just wondering where that.
That's
verbiage
basically
was.
what it is once we have our nominees, then the one would be picked at random. From there, if we went through 5 rounds and ended up at a deadlock,
Every time.
the board member would then nominate who they wanted. Then whoever names were nominated would get put basically in a hat. Somebody will get picked and that's who gets it. So,
I don't know that that's legal from what we heard at the board training last Tuesday night at Turtle Lake.
But
so,
that's what
I mean, that was the purpose for sending this to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This should be
Legal's telling us,
accurate,
so.
however.
to get it
Because they said
clarified.
it would just go on indefinitely.
You would go back to the table or you would reopen it or
That's
you
how
would,
I
But,
yeah.
and he's saying 5 rounds of that. And then a
But
tiebreaker.
you're saying another day, like,
Yeah, I'm
Like,
saying
if,
another
say,
day.
tonight
I
we
mean,
had a
they said
tie.
there's absolutely no tiebreaker.
Yeah, I'll check on that, but I think that's accurate. I do believe.
So Corey and Jesse tied tonight 5 times.
No, only once tonight and then it goes back again another time. On another meeting.
no, I think we
No,
vote
yeah,
5
No,
times.
you
Go
do
5
5
times.
times tonight.
And every time we voted, it was a deadlock, then we wouldn't have, Corey wouldn't have gone on tonight, we would have, what,
So they
put
would've
it up for
just-
next month?
Corey and Jesse would have gone home tonight. And then they could come back and speak next month to try to get the position again.
Basically.
That's what it sounds like.
It would be reopened for appointees, right? So more people could apply if they wanted.
I would believe so.
Well, then we have to have this looked at again because the last sentence is in order to break the deadlock by the random selection of a nominee.
I
Yeah.
did specifically ask the question because I knew the situation that we were coming into tonight.
Because we had even number.
Yes.
Yes,
Well, that's the
And they
whole
said you
re-
couldn't, so
They
like,
said there is not a tiebreaker.
Mhm.
You have to get to the bottom of it.
And that's why we asked legal and they are telling us different. So now we don't know.
So we did ask that question because it kept coming up and
Yeah.
we referred us to page 2, number 2.
Well, is
And we
there,
kept asking him about
well, what is is there a state statute somewhere that these are based off of?
Here's his email right here.
It's really long. It's like 120 points.
Yeah, so I guess it would be within the
Yeah,
state statute.
120.1 to 28, 28.
Yeah, and it's like 21.
Can we ask legal to provide the highlighted state statute? That's the state statute, so is
they,
it
I think it
states,
got added down at the bottom.
State statutes under the legal references.
and do you see in that state statute 5 votes draw out of a hat?
He's got highlighted here if after 5 rounds of voting, the board still has been unable to fill the vacancy, then the chairperson of the meeting shall declare a deadlock and immediately call for nominations in order to break the deadlock by the random selection of a nominee.
All right, so that's in the state statute.
but then what do you do if like I nominate Corey and Kelly nominated Jesse and you still have them both nominated?
You're still drawing.
still drawing out of a hat.
Just drawing out of a hat.
That's the
That's
random
the thing.
selection part.
That's where the random
Yeah.
comes in.
If they hadn't nominated them,
That
then
was
you
their
would have had to
statute then.
vote.
So this is right.
I don't know.
Don't know how many days out and stuff too.
So that's where the drawing of the hat comes in by
Nobody's
stating
Yeah.
random
resigning, we don't
selection.
have a
Yeah,
vote.
What's that?
So nobody resigning with one.
There've been a lot of resignations for the last several years.
Yeah.
I agree, but you guys all vote, so we're all good.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's no, I don't think there's any issue in making this update, and then as we continue to research it, if we have to make a change in the future, so be it, but I'd rather, as of right now, if legal have said this is what is legal, I don't see a problem going with it and then continuing to research it.
I'd agree.
So I make a motion to accept the update on policy 133.
I will second that.
So We have a motion by Kelly, seconded by Katie. All those in favor? Opposed?
Yep. I don't have enough information. I only have what I heard the other night and
So is it opposed or an abstain?
I'm going to oppose it at this point.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any abstentions? Nope. Okay. So we have one opposed. Motion passes. On to committee as a whole. Sure.
So I'm proposing that we move to a committee as a whole meeting as opposed to having individual committee meetings. Right now, some of us are attending 3 meetings a month. You guys are coming to at least 4 meetings a month. So this would bring it down to 2 for everyone. All the committee members would have an opportunity to hear what is spoken about. And then at the regular meeting, all votes would be made. If a special meeting needed to take place, this would already have a quorum settled at it. We often already have quorums at our committee meetings anyway, so I don't see an issue with the quorum part, and we can clearly state that we're not making any decisions during those. We meet the 4th Monday for a regular board meeting on Mondays, so I would propose meeting the 2nd Monday of the month for a committee as a whole.
I like it.
Personally, I'm against it because we had to move from 5 to 7:30 just for me tonight. So I would have missed the entire thing and hear absolutely nothing for any committee meeting. So that doesn't work for me, and being
Because of work schedule or sports schedules?
all of the above, and being a 50-50 parent. I'm not willing to miss.
Is it Mondays that are the issue?
Nope, doesn't matter. We have sports. I have 2 high school and 1 middle school, so we have.
So how would it affect it if it was just scheduled on Monday versus the committee scheduled all over the place? Or is it just the fact that?
Well, she only comes,
You
no,
only
she only
come
comes
to
to policy,
one
and we
meeting
always
a month.
basically plan the policies around. Usually we have them on Wednesdays, because Wednesdays, kids only have practice.
But aside from that, when you're looking at the potential meeting of all the committees, I mean, it's gonna
They
be,
can't be here for 4 or 5 hours.
I don't think it would take
Why not
4 or
each?
5 hours. So a lot of times the things that are repeated at committees are repeated at a couple of them. We're getting similar information, so this would be condensing it down, so it's not a repeat of, well, this went to the budget meeting and now it's at the policy meeting and they're already the same content. I think we would probably be looking at like a 2-hour meeting, much like a regular school board meeting.
Have you checked into other districts? I think St. Croix Falls does.
Yeah, Grand
Okay.
Park does this as well.
Wasn't Webster?
Webster does.
Webster.
I'm not
as of
sure.
The last couple years, or several, like
Yeah.
5 years ago, they still had committee meetings. I don't know what
Yeah.
they do now.
So I'm just putting it out there.
And I guess I also look at it as an admin standpoint. They would have to do the same thing and be here for that amount of time for 2 times a month as well.
Instead of
Several times a month.
multiple times a month.
But for shorter amount of time.
Because a lot of your committee meetings are start a little earlier.
We only go to committee.
Mhm.
Can I ask one more question? Is there a stipend associated? Like, would their district be saving money if they went to community of the whole?
They would technically, yes. It's nominal dollars, but we are all paid per meeting. So those of us that attend 3 meetings a month, we're now only going to be attending 2 meetings a month.
You only get paid if
only
you're
get paid
on the
for your
committee.
Committee though.
Like, if I go to budget, I don't get paid.
Or as a parent. So really, you're not saving anything.
Well, I wouldn't go to 3 meetings a month anymore.
Well, okay, because you're.
So
on-
some of us are
Some
on
of
3,
them.
are on 2 committees. Most of us are on 2 committees and then the regular meeting.
How do you guys feel?
I've never done a
Like,
committee of
yeah.
whole.
And I don't know if everyone would have to come to the committee. You guys this portion of the admin, if whoever is normally there seems like the reasonable.
Have to go to at least one committee meeting a month, because we'll have something on
Mhm.
one of the agendas, but we often don't have to
I
go
s-
to all of them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I see pros and cons of it.
Right.
I just, the way the meet, like the last 2 months, my schedule, like it just makes me be like, no, Katie, I can't.
Mhm.
But then like late, some months it's not gonna be an issue. Some months it's definitely gonna be an issue.
Well, we have a lot coming up on policy committee, so I know like that one's gonna be taking longer coming up,
Mhm.
so.
I would think if everybody had the same information at the same time in that type of meeting, that this board meeting would go also faster,
Right, 'cause it's
because
the-
I know just coming on, I have a whole lot of questions about a
Yeah.
whole lot of committees.
And I never get to go to policy, and those are the ones that often need the most conversation and reading over. And then we're explaining it all again at these meetings.
And we wouldn't vote or anything as a committee of the whole in those meetings, so we would get the information, be able to discuss, and then.
Yep, and then 2 weeks later
Yeah.
or whatever time frame later, then all the votes come. So you get that time frame to take the information in and then think it over.
Or you
Or
have
do your
each committee,
research.
like how we do it now, each committee discusses everything, kind of beats it all out, and
Well,
then
do we
we
even
bring
have-
it to
do
the
we-
rest of you at the board meeting, and then you ask questions back to the committee and then do an overall vote.
So we won't have committees.
No,
There
it'd
wouldn't
just be 2 meetings a month basically for the whole board.
Did you make it a motion, Katie?
I haven't made it a motion yet. We're just doing discussion. I can make the motion to go to a committee of whole and we can still discuss after that too. So I'll make a motion that we move to a committee as a whole for a board.
I'll second it.
You have a motion by Katie, seconded by Polly. All those in favor or any further discussion?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
I'm gonna do nay.
4 to 3, I guess we pass.
I think it's gonna be a discussion of like when we actually factor it in, because I don't
I
want
think
to
that'll be on the
too-
meeting calendar part coming up
Yeah.
next. After the technology server room air conditioning.
So we did take this to buildings and grounds. And Jesse felt like it was an absolute need at this point in time, so we were gonna go ahead and do it. And we'd also talked about potentially taking it out of some of that referendum funding if that allowed. As an infrastructure project, which was in our resolution language.
The only thing, when this had come up, I also wanted Kevin to look into what the current budget was for the technology department to find out if some of that, if it could potentially come out of there as well, because if we have it budgeted and we're not necessarily utilizing it,
We could potentially take it out.
because I don't know if Jesse had any other server upgrades or other projects
Yeah,
that she was
does.
planning
She
for.
had it spent. But it has to be, but I think we decided on the referendum, didn't we?
It's on its way, but those referendum dollars also aren't in the bank yet.
Right.
Wasn't there some other option you were talking about?
No, we can look at the technology budget and potentially, we just have to negotiate with her. And I think she's willing.
So. I mean, we have to,
I think it's important.
And have we
Yeah.
been monitoring the temperature in there with the fan in there? 85 degrees was the limit that she had said. We don't want
Yeah.
we don't want the room
Did they
getting
put a
over,
thermostat.
but we don't know if we
I
have a
haven't
thermometer in there.
monitored it.
Yeah.
I don't, with the recent temperatures, I don't think it's been significant.
So at least we're not gonna break anything now while the equipment's getting ordered in.
Do we have a projection on when it could be here? Cause it was ordered like a week or two ago.
It was just it was like within 4 weeks.
Once it's ordered.
Once it's ordered, yeah.
Why, we don't need to do any, are we making, we don't need to.
Yeah, I just wanted the board to make sure that you knew, and
Mhm.
I don't have authority over $5,000.
But it was in two chunks as well.
Yeah, I would prefer the board just give me the okay.
There's equipment that's worth so much in there.
Yeah.
It certainly makes sense to maintain what we
Yeah.
have, so.
So I'll make the motion that we go ahead and purchase the air conditioner. And we're gonna utilize the additional dollars that we had for capital improvements with the referendum.
I'll second that.
I heard Eric first.
Oh, hi, Eric, go ahead.
So we'll go Katie, seconded by Eric. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Moving on, meeting calendars. So if we're doing the committee as a whole, I guess the big question is, Laura, how soon can you have stuff done?
Kevin wanted to
And-
meet early. What
well,
was that?
It was
Kevin?
for the
Yeah, we
contract.
need a budget meeting before. So May 15th is the contract day that we have to get out, so we need a meeting, I would say.
Can we add on to the board training meeting date?
Well,
That's the 5th, or does it need to be before the 5th? No, not to, could we add a special meeting in just to handle that contract piece, so that is done?
On the same night,
On the same night as the board training,
When?
next Monday.
There's baseball.
and then figure out the date for the meeting as a whole. Do you need it sooner than the 5th?
No. That week
Mm-hmm,
would probably be best, between the 5th and 9th.
We don't have,
so the board training is from 4 to 6, so we'll all be here, most of us will be here, we would have a quorum to make any contract pieces. Right?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you guys feel like you can.
Cause you said you need it by the 15th, right?
Yeah.
And it would be a special meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
So you wanna do the meeting,
Either,
training from 4 to 6 and then do the.
and do the
Just a
contract piece,
special contract meeting only. Yeah.
not the whole.
I know what you were thinking.
It's getting late. Like 8 hours, what do you?
That's not good.
With that at
So I can
6,
ask
with the
questions.
I don't
pop
know. I-
concert at 7?
Never set a time.
No, I'm just saying the board training is from 4 to 6. Is there a way to do it before? I mean, how much time do you think we need to discuss contracts?
It's gonna be a debate.
So time.
So
It's gonna take some time.
potentially a different day that week then? If it needed to be a
We
special,
just have to, we can't rush this, I don't
Okay.
think.
Is this employee contracts, staffing contracts, or something else? I'm sorry. I can't hear you guys.
I'm assuming it's
It's employee
contract.
Oh, thank you. Well, I didn't know if it was about the financial.
I think we might wanna just slate a special meeting specifically for that, sometime of the week of like the 12th, somewhere in there.
but he needs it done by the
Yeah, I think
15th.
we
Well,
need it
I
done
know,
before
but-
the 5th.
So like the 12th, 13th,
Yeah, what about
or
the 7th?
I have to do them all.
Yeah.
What
see,
day
she-
is the 7th on? Is that Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday.
7th.
I can do any day next week except Thursday or Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm fine.
So would the 7th work?
7th works for me.
Next 7th work. Yep.
I
What
cannot,
time?
but you would have a.
It's up to you guys.
What,
Oh.
what about
I can just.
Tuesday? Does Tuesday work for anyone? I don't know what the,
There's track, there's baseball, there's softball.
Wednesday's better
alright, so Wednesday,
So Monday at 6 is out. We nixed that one.
If people don't want to stay that long.
Monday at 5, there's a concert, I think, and
It's
All right.
the Westboro Bruins concert.
Concert at 7.
Monday the 5th.
There's a concert.
I don't think we
at
have board
high
training.
school.
We have to train for 2 hours.
It's at 7. You
Well,
guys are done at 6.
We're representing our whatchamacallit.
5:30, I gotta
You,
grab.
Tom, do you wanna consider rearranging the board training date?
Yes, please.
I'm not against it. I don't know how,
We seem to have some conflicts and
because if we could change that to the special meeting for the contracts and do it early,
Start at 3:30 or something.
if we could. I think we'd be better off with that.
Here's baseball.
I don't know, I can never tell where it's at and where.
You wanna give me a couple dates
When-
for the board training date? I didn't wanna go too long out for the board members.
Here, let me go.
Yeah.
Let me go this.
I was just told that in the handbook for certified
So that
staff.
one was on my schedule, and he just didn't take it.
I don't know.
After May.
Cause that was one of the right
So
meetings.
Yes,
we fall in.
we're using the 15th as a deadline
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
and
we
trying
were
to give her
following.
any time.
Baseball at Bruce. But that doesn't really work good for the pop concert either, that they have pop concert on track and baseball as well.
No, and Bruce is a makeup game, because that was one of our first ring.
All right, what did we decide?
We haven't.
So does that not
If you
work?
guys do community of the, or committee of the whole, you'll only have one date to change and not spend 15 minutes.
But
on
that's what we're
calendar.
trying to figure out too, like trying to pick a date, cause there's,
Because we're gonna be here long.
we have so much going on with all of us having kids or multiple kids or sports and graduation and
It's a
work.
terrible month. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
no matter.
I,
So.
like I said before, it would be great if we can hold off on the school board training so we can all actually be here. And I don't know why we can't wait till next month. I don't understand why it needs to be next week. I mean, if someone could explain that to me, that'd be
It's
fantastic.
up to you guys. You guys decide.
If Corey and Polly are good,
You guys are okay
holding off
with
till
next
next month.
I already went to one, so.
I'm good.
Okay, well, we'll just shoot for June then,
Okay.
and
So the 5th is still gonna be a problem for you though, Jamie, for this
Well,
special
it depends on
meeting.
what time we're
Can
doing
be.
it.
right.
Yeah, Kelly's out because she's got, I
I'll be
mean,
in Bruce.
That'll rain that day, you're okay.
You'll be playing baseball in June.
I mean, it depends on what, if we do it early, the earlier the better. I think, well, the 5th, shit, I don't know what's going on for work.
Well, 5th at 4 o'clock, there's a varsity invitational.
Yeah, I don't have a high school in track.
I think if we try to avoid all events that the school is hosting, we're always gonna
Right.
have a problem. There's just gonna have to be some bend where sometimes you can't come to the school board event and that's just how it is. Or you can't go to the event that's happening at the school.
Have you guys ever had them during the day?
There's been meetings during the day, yes, but
Some of us work.
yeah.
Also, they have to be in.
We'll only, but we just need a
Sorry,
quorum
Cory.
for the.
We just need it, right, we need a quorum at a special meeting or at the meeting of the whole.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about when we're having the meeting at the whole.
Right.
Well,
Well, we wouldn't need a quorum at the meeting of the whole either.
let's see. What about,
Yeah, it doesn't work for some people.
For 2, but we would still have a quorum without 2.
what about Wednesday, the 7th?
I will not be there, but you would still have a quorum.
I could do so.
I can do the 7th.
I can do the 7th.
I can do the 7th.
Okay, so what time?
Earlier the better.
Can we start,
2:30.
can we start at 3:30? Does that work for you guys? Does that work for you,
I can
Polly?
make it work.
How long do you think that's gonna be? I don't know.
2 hours could be,
It depends on, I have
Yeah.
to rearrange my schedule. I have to see if I have somebody watch Jayla, my kids have sports. And we have the tribal banquet
right,
that I've already committed to. So,
but if we start at 3:30. That gives you at least 2 hours for,
if I have
Okay.
someone to watch
Yeah.
Jayla,
right,
And if you can't make it, there would still be a
Right.
quorum.
that's what I'm wondering, but like,
Teachers
who,
thing,
I think
right.
once you could make it the 5th too,
This meeting is for the staff contract.
Yeah, I can make it. Vote.
so.
So either the 5th or the 7th, it sounds like we could have 2 people missing.
Yeah.
Up to
Right.
2.
Can you do, does the 5th work for you, Polly?
Yep. So either one.
well, we're not doing the training, I would rather do the 5th myself.
You just be out.
That's fine.
3:30, yeah, I can maybe make it work, I don't,
Yeah, I'm good with 3:30 on the 5th.
The
No, we're doing-
contracts meeting. Oh,
Give it 30 seconds.
No. This is the contract meeting. The fifth at 3:30.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, not the second.
Okay.
3:30?
5th at 3:30,
3:30
special meeting. Special meeting.
I'll put it in here in case there's another rain day.
At 3:30, you said?
Yeah.
No, nothing more.
Oh, Cat's
Oh.
on. Maybe Cat can.
There you go.
Really, we need to know for that. Like,
Well, yes, when I have the information, I'll get it to you. There's some decisions that just have to be made. We can't talk about it in open.
Okay.
And I don't have it on the agenda tonight.
Okay.
It's based on the forecast model.
You'll put a packet together though, because it'll have an agenda for them. So
absolutely.
we'll have that information in the
Has to,
packet.
yeah.
Okay,
I
so
just don't have the information.
Okay,
now back to.
now, committee of the whole meeting. What were you saying, Laura, about when you can have stuff done?
Whatever.
Not just.
I bet you Denise can help you. She doesn't have much going on.
I was gonna say, our regular board meeting is probably gonna have to be changed because the 26th is Memorial Day. I figured that's what you were gonna say. Becky.
I'm like,
Thought beat you to it.
Well, okay, let's stay on the committee of the whole meeting first. Do you want to?
Tell me what days work for you.
Right, do we wanna do that the second Monday, or do we wanna do it second Wednesday or second?
Wednesdays are.
Well, they don't work for
I can't work
Katie,
Fridays.
unfortunately.
Mondays I have baseball, so I wouldn't be able to be here on Mondays.
Katie, you work every Wednesday?
What about Thursday, the 15th? How bloody
I
does
have
that
baseball
look?
on Thursdays.
Track, softball.
What about the
Since
22nd?
I'm your Q representative, I have to go to the Q meeting today. And I'm the Wall of Honor
22nd doesn't
representative.
work for me.
Honor me. The first next Thursday.
No, I have another obligation.
Well, I don't think
We don't
any
all have
day
to
is gonna
do
work
it
for you.
anyway,
Yes.
I did four.
We don't need a quorum for the meeting of the whole. It's just an opportunity to get the information out and it might take a few months to even it out.
22nd. What else is going on the 22nd?
On the calendar, yeah.
Right,
So the 12th,
Doesn't help to have after the.
it looks like baseball's canceled. Am I reading that right?
baseball was
it was canceled, but now it's
Oh,
rescheduled to
okay.
New Auburn.
Got it.
So there's track on the 12th, there's baseball and there's softball.
Mhm.
What's wrong with the 22nd?
Is that too late?
For the meeting of, for the actual board, the regular
No,
board meeting,
No,
the
meeting as a
committee
whole.
it would. It just depends on probably when we push the regular board meeting to.
Which we're probably gonna have to push that to the 29th because the 22nd or 28th, right, Jamie, you have KLC grad?
Can go past what?
Yeah, I don't think we can do the regular meeting past the end of the month.
The Thursday would still be part
You
of.
can't
May.
do it the 29th?
22nd?
28th, 29th for the regular meeting. We're just still talking about the meeting of the whole.
Oh, we're talking about the meeting hall.
Yeah, we were just projecting out at the same time.
Well, hold
Okay, the
on.
22nd, there's nothing on the calendar.
I'm
Do
good.
we need to have the regular meeting that day? What are you talking about, Lisa and Kevin? Can we have the regular meeting on the 29th?
Yes.
Or the 28th?
No, they were looking at their.
There's
calendar.
something
Oh,
that
I
they're
thought
sharing
for
with
some
us.
reason.
Before the end of the month.
What?
yes.
Mhm.
Before the end
That's
of the month.
fine.
We were just, for whatever reason, it was chosen on Mondays by whoever, I don't know whether.
I know, well, do we want to come in on Memorial Day?
No.
It wasn't saying.
So I'm proposing we have the committee as a whole meeting on the 22nd.
Works.
What day do we?
And
do
then
that? We work
Thursday.
Friday.
Hopefully,
Thursday.
hopefully in the
22nd.
future, maybe we can get it just
Yeah.
on a regular. schedule.
And
Yeah.
what time are we gonna start that? Does 4 PM work?
Sure.
Yep.
4 p.m.
Yep,
Middle school softball gets transported back here, correct? From Webster?
By them.
Okay, but I don't have to go to Webster to pick them up. They come back. Yeah, they have the owl, but they have the owl bus.
It's their responsibility to
Okay.
get them back here. Our
So what are we
responsibility
doing?
to get
4
them back.
p.m. Okay.
and the 29th for the monthly meeting, the regular school board meeting. The only thing showing on the calendar right now is a 4K graduation, and that's early afternoon.
Okay, what day of the week is that one?
Thursday as well.
Hold on,
You're
Lisa,
not-
might not, that
I
doesn't
cannot
work.
make it.
29th
I have
doesn't
a
work.
senior graduating
Yeah.
that Saturday. I'm taking-
But yeah,
How
we
about
have
the
the staff
Tuesday
day.
after? How about the
Oh, yes.
The day after?
Yeah, because we have people leaving, we're having our all staff meeting for the retirees, because there's events the
Yep,
following
so
day.
29th doesn't work.
I also am
What-
not
what
available
day
on
doesn't
the
work?
29th, but you can.
29th does not work.
28th?
28th is ALC. What time do you have ALC graduation?
6 to.
Yep, so
Yeah, but if we have it early,
And 28th is the actual retirement party at Sasha Key.
Yep.
Okay,
So we can't do the
well, it'd have to be
29th.
early and that'd probably be too much to try to get that all planned that same. So the 20, I don't know,
What about 27th?
we're doing the 27th, you're out, you got baseball, and I don't. Is that first? Oh, the 22nd is first round of.
I mean, I'm probably gonna have
or
baseball
softball.
too, but I don't know yet. Just miss it.
I don't have to go to all my kids' stuff.
I am, because mine's a senior.
But I mean, the
But it's
20.
fine, I missed the
Right.
22nd, so. I
Well, you
missed
missed the
27th
22nd
too.
too, cause the
We won't
22nd
know what's
is
going on
first
anyway.
round of softball
well,
playoffs.
Friday,
That's
the
fine.
30th.
They have stuff in last day's school.
Oh, they do.
20, I mean, that's fine. I'll just have to pick and choose. As long as we have a quorum, which sounds like those
Yeah.
3, Polly's good. I think it's most, just those of us who have seniors. Mhm.
So let's go with Tuesday, the 27th then, for the regular board meeting.
Does that work for you, Polly?
Yep.
What time?
Regular 5.
5?
Does that work for everyone else?
Yeah.
Tuesday, the 26th.
Most the hardest part of every meeting.
Welcome, Corey.
I'm Polly.
I'm Polly. All right.
Been on before. Who knows?
All right, with that all settled, moving on to the approval of the bills.
Make a motion to approve the bills for the cycle of
Second.
March 29th.
Got a motion by Katie, seconded by Eric. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Any abstaining? Okay,
I'm gonna do that then before we go.
And break.
My God, whose idea was gonna have that? It's like way past my bedtime. I'm like.
Oh, yeah.
Might be late.
we'll just do what we can.
Well, I can't make that.
Yeah.
So we make a motion to go in?
No, because they're
Not
in the
yet, we-
bathroom.
Time to do that, right?
Yep.
An hour and more. here. Three. Virtual appointment. I don't stay up this late. No. I took some caffeine in though, anticipating the longness of how this was gonna be.
It's okay, I'm just gonna be up for work in 4 hours. No big deal.
I'm just gonna get a little head start while we're on intermission. Cause we all know each other, right?
Best we can do for public comment, I was looking for,
Yeah.
there's a tabletop podium they used to have in here and I couldn't find it.
That worked.
So.
At least they're on camera, so
Yeah.
I think that'll be helpful for the public viewing.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like this as opposed to a podium. It's got more of a
Casual.
informal
Yeah.
vibe, you
Kind of
know.
progressive.
I just need to move the foot peg down like 2 inches. I couldn't get my foot up there when I was starting.
I saw you. Right out for a spin.
Put a stool underneath so you can stand on a stool to bump up.
Well, I built that table and let me tell you, we ain't changing
Did it give you a hassle?
Chairs too, just so you know.
I hope the chair's under warranty.
There's so many of
I
them.
don't know.
Get up with my.
This is not a good purchase, this brand.
You never know until you come to them.
These classes have been fixing them on a regular though, so we're keeping them busy.
Fantastic. Yes, his email was difficult to find in the email system. It's only under Mr. B. And it took me about 19 tries to find it to email him for Wall of Honor.
Teacher?
Yeah, not under his full spelling of his last
Did
name.
you just go to staff?
Yeah, like I just started typing in,
But I mean, if you just go to staff on the school website, it doesn't, his email's not
well,
on.
I was in the email and I just type in the names as I'm emailing people out, so everyone was there, and it's, you have to type in Mr. B instead of Jed Butts. I'm sure. Because it's. Jed did not pop it up because it's Mr. B.
Do we have on the plane now?
Yeah, everything's, it's
I mean, I know
not,
you said we have a contract. but
yeah,
we were
the
just-
contract's there, the dates are there, he's reaching out, equipment ordering. Oh, he was gonna
We
make,
haven't ordered it.
no, he was gonna make sure they stored it instead of us stored it. There's no additional price for it, and then they would be in charge of unloading it and not us, so if something happened,
All right.
unloading it would be ours.
Y'all in?
Yeah, Kelly.
Everything's locked.
Yes.
All right, so at this time, I'm looking for a motion to convene in the closed session
I'll make a
under
motion.
Wisconsin State Statute 19.851 CEFG to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, considerations of financial, medical, social, or personal information, and to confer with legal counsel who is rendering oral or written advice.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right,
Is the cameras off?
Not yet.
Because I have to.
Eric, take it.
I was waving to make sure.
Polly,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Amy.